Devious licks. The view outside the car window was nice since the journey had started from Wyoming. Nothing but blue skies all the way to Long Beach. Todd was excited about going to California and finally saying goodbye to his town. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman was playing on the radio. The vibe of leaving and meeting his brother after so many years felt different. After all, they were going to be in the same school together. Connor didn't care that much that his younger brother was coming. Ever since he had become a senior at Long Beach High, all he wanted was to join a fraternity that was run by his friend Ron, who was already considered a star in the NCAA Division I. By default, an all-star American football player. He was the head of the fraternity. Everybody wanted to join, but he was very selective. Connor had already done many pranks for him, a challenge to get inside the fraternity. Now, already inside, he loved the clubhouse and belonging to the brotherhood. He was like an alpha leader, and all the girls were attracted to him. Everyone looked up to him, but only a few people knew about the clubhouse or had been there. Why? Because that room had a collection of all the things that were going missing from the school. His devious licks. Long Beach High had reported many such cases when things started disappearing from there. First, it was the books from the library, then letters from the class teacher's drawer. After that, it was the laptops from the computer lab, and then things started getting wicked. The stealing progressed to include toilet doors, sinks, and hand sanitizer units. A few people knew that most of the things were put in the fraternity clubhouse, like a souvenir shop or a shrine. A few times his pranks even went viral on TikTok, and the school sent out letters about it. But that changed nothing. Ron was a big guy, as big as a WWE wrestler. His agility and endurance gave him a good CGPA score. Winning medals for his school made him kind of untouchable. No one questioned him. Only his closest friends knew what was kept in the room. Connor was his new right hand, and he knew all the secrets. But one day, when Connor met Ron in his room to talk to him about his brother, he was interrupted when he saw the school's flagpole with the rest of his souvenirs. Ron's back was turned, and he was looking outside the window. "I know what you're thinking," said Ron. "I stole it from the gym rooftop, but now I feel a bit guilty. It's weird, but during the games, I kind of miss seeing it. I will return it back during lunch. Can I ask you something?" spoke Connor. "Sure, what's up?" Ron turned, and his body blocked the light, and the room was all shadowy. "You can ask anything. You must be wondering why I'm keeping all these things. It's simple. This school sucks. If I wasn't an all-star, they would have kicked me out long ago. I was going to ask, you see, my brother is coming today, and he wants to join our fraternity." "Yes," said Connor. "Well, bring him. If he's up to the challenge and proves himself, I have one last devious lick for both of you," Ron said, smiling. After the meeting, Connor was wondering what kind of devious lick Ron had in mind. He was sure it was going to be trouble, not expecting the nightmare that was going to unfold later. When Todd returned, he was glad to meet Connor. He told Todd everything about the fraternity and how the school operated. As a junior, he was excited to join the fraternity because he thought he would be the youngest. If that happens, he would have a lot of respect because everyone looked up to Ron. When Connor led his brother to the head of the fraternity, Todd was amazed to see all the things inside his room. "The one thing that I'm missing," said Ron, "Mr. Goldman's nameplate. If I have that by tomorrow, I won't return it ever. Plus, you would be the youngest member of the fraternity. Also, your brother said you play football. Perhaps someday you'll be as good as me. Are you ready?" Todd was more than ready, because assisting him was his brother. It had been a week since Todd joined Connor's school. Everything was going well. Now it was time to get down to business. Looking at the school community news board in the lunch hall, they saw the timetable and how everyone would be out for a yoga class later in the evening. The brothers hid in the bathroom, waiting for the school to close. Todd had brought a screwdriver with him, thinking it would be easy. Connor smiled at his brother and said, "Let's go." When Todd stepped into the corridor, everything was silent. His heart started to beat loudly as his footsteps approached Mr. Goldwyn's office. When he saw the silver nameplate, while the name of the principal was written in bold black letters, Todd wasn't aware of the CCTV camera. It was hanging across from him, but the person who was in the security room in charge of the camera wasn't paying attention to it. Mr. Cogan was the caretaker. In front of him were different screens from all over the school. His mind was not focusing on his job. He was drinking a lot more than usual. It was hard for him to concentrate at work. Besides, the people in the school didn't know he was an alcoholic and had many problems, such as a DUI for drunk driving and fighting with people. All his problems started when his wife of 20 years decided to leave him for a woman. He couldn't compete with that or understand, and the bottle became his friend. Drinking had become his companion, and so did anger. Plus, his ex-wife had reported him to the police, and he had paid many visits to the court. The current verdict was that he will soon be convicted. When that happens, he would lose his caretaking job in the school. All he wanted was to go back home, but that was not going to happen. This had made him not care anymore, and he wanted to hurt people, just as he was hurting. He wasn't paying attention to the screen, but when he glanced, he saw Todd and his brother Connor standing at the principal's door, unscrewing the nameplate. "Little brats," he snapped. Involuntarily, he got up. His red eyes almost popped out. As his anger boiled inside and reached its peak, he grabbed a hammer. He wanted to stop the boys from vandalizing. All year, things were going missing, and he had enough. Well, Todd was almost done unscrewing the plates. Connor's shoulders were getting tired of holding the door. But when both suddenly saw Mr. Cogan, Todd, by mistake, had ended up dropping his screwdriver. Connor backed away so quickly he fell over. As he looked up, he saw Todd run. Connor tried maintaining his composure, but he couldn't, and screamed so loud the glass walls shook. Mr. Cogan smiled as he picked up the screwdriver. "No!" Connor shouted, but no one could hear him. The caretaker leaned down and shoved the tool in Connor's left ear. The bones crunched and his eyes went bloodshot. Mr. Cogan watched as his body flinched and slowly faded away. As he had run, Todd saw his brother fall, and a few seconds later, he heard the screams. At that moment, he had felt very small and weak. I suppose it was a sense of shame. Why had he run? Still, at that moment, he had no idea his brother was already dead. He just thought about getting out of there and getting help. Todd was in panic mode. He ran down the hall, frantically trying every door on the way. Without a keycard, he was trapped. Nothing would open. So he ran up the stairs to the next floor. In the library, he noticed the first window was open, a little. Todd was scared of heights, but it was the only option. He pushed and pulled until he was able to wedge it open enough for his slim frame body to squeeze out. He lowered himself down and was hanging when he looked down to the gym roof below. He got frightened and resisted letting go. Just then, he heard the window being yanked open. Mr. Cogan was above him, with an evil smirk on his face. In one hand, he was holding a hammer. In the other, he had the screwdriver that was covered in his brother's blood. Todd had no way to escape and was screaming for help. Mr. Cogan stabbed the screwdriver into his left hand and proceeded to smash the right hand with the hammer. Todd let go and was hanging where the screwdriver had pinned him to the window ledge. His full weight was too much, and the skin and tendons tore his hand in two, crying in agony as he fell and was ultimately impaled on the flagpole that Ron had returned earlier that day. His death was instant, and he died gruesomely at the hands of the caretaker. Then there was silence, and the window above closed. When Mr. Cogan turned and began to walk back to his office, as if nothing had happened, he received a call. He was surprised when he saw his ex-wife's name on the caller ID. Picking up, he heard her voice after many weeks. "How are you doing, John?" she spoke, yet didn't receive any answer. Continuing, she added, "I just want to inform you that I received a call from the district attorney. They have decided to drop the DUI charge, and I was thinking we could maybe try again. I just want you to come back home. Can you do that? Hello? Can you hear me, John? Are you there? The caretaker hung up the phone and broke down in tears. Suddenly, his conscience had returned, and his anger had vanished. Oh my God, what have I done? It was all too late. The consequences of his actions couldn't be erased. He was overcome with irrevocable guilt. Mr. Cogan knew that he would be convicted of the murders. Now, as it dawned on him, he was really going to jail. There was no way he was ever going back home. The end.